Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So today we are meal prepping some healthy plant-based meals. So a lot of you really enjoyed my last meal prep video I did a few weeks ago, so I decided it might be good to do another. A lot of people in the last one said that the meals were just too big, and I know I like to eat a lot, but not everybody eats as much as me, so I've reduced the calories a little bit for this one, and it's gonna be a total of 1,800 calories for the day, and I'm still gonna get you a lot of protein. There's 93 grams of protein in it, and a lot of people also commented that by the 4th and 5th day of like a 5-day meal prep, they're kind of tired of the meals and they're not tasting as fresh. So this is just going to be a 3-day meal prep. But there's some delicious and healthy plant-based meals in here, and if you want to make them bigger, it's really easy to scale them up. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to be making is breakfast, which is a baked oatmeal, and it's like a vanilla and raspberry flavor. It is so good. Oh yeah, and before we get started, I am gonna go over all the macros like I did with the last one at the end of the video, so make sure you stay tuned for that if you're interested. And I'll also give you guys an opportunity to screenshot the entire recipes so you know what to shop for and how much to use for each recipe. It's just too much to put in the description box. So let's get started with this baked oatmeal. In a large mixing bowl, add 1 cup of rolled oats, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Put that aside, and then in a blender, add 1.5 cups of soy milk, a 1/4 cup of natural peanut butter, 2 scoops of your favorite vanilla flavored protein powder, and 4 pitted medjool dates. Blend that up until it's smooth. It's gonna be pretty thick, but don't worry, it's gonna work out. Add that to the mixing bowl and then mix it all together. Add 1 cup of fresh raspberries or your favorite fresh berry, and I like to cut them up a little bit just so that you get a little bit of raspberry in every bite. Mix that in. Put in a lined baking dish, and then bake at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. Once the baked oatmeal is done, just pull it out, set it aside, and let it cool before you cut into it. All right, so I probably don't have to tell you because you've probably licked the spoon or spatula by now, but wait until you try that baked oatmeal. It's so good. So next we're gonna move on to lunch. So to make this, you're gonna wanna start with 4 medium sweet potatoes, and you wanna cut those into about 1-inch cubes. And then into a large mixing bowl, and then just add a touch of oil because we're gonna add some seasoning to this, and you want the seasoning to stick and you want them to roast up nicely. So once you've added the oil, mixed it up, add a tablespoon of this chili seasoning. So this is different than chili spice. This is like the kind of chili seasoning you would make chili out of. And of course you could mix up your own spices, but this is just so nice and easy for a meal prep. And then put that onto a baking tray, and then might as well throw that in the oven with the breakfast. So at 350 degrees, this is probably gonna take about 40 to 45 minutes. You just want to stir it about halfway through so it cooks evenly. All right, so next we're going to make a black bean and veggie saute to go with the sweet potatoes. It's such a good combo, black beans, sweet potatoes, especially when you add the chili seasoning to it. It's going to be deadly. So I'm going to start by sauteing about 1/4 cup of chopped onion. Then after a few minutes, add 2 cans of drained and rinsed black beans. Roughly chop 2 red bell peppers, add that. And then to season all this, we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of that chili seasoning. Give that a good mix. And once that's cooked, add a cup of frozen green peas. So next we're gonna make a sauce for this meal, and it's a blended sauce, so you will need a blender. This is actually the avocado, lime, and cilantro dressing from my recipe ebook, Easy Vegan Comfort Meals. It is so delicious, and it's gonna go really well with this. And there's always a link to that ebook in the description box down below if you wanna check it out, support the channel. But here's how to make this sauce. So start with half an avocado, 1 cup of fresh cilantro. If you don't like cilantro, it's okay. You don't have to put it in there, but it does add a lot of flavor to this. Next, 2 teaspoons of your favorite hot sauce, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, the juice from a lime, 1 pitted medjool date. This is just gonna give it a touch of sweetness. And then about 3/4 cup of water. So you can always add a little bit of water if you need to, if it's too thick, but this should be right on the money. So once it's all blended up, you probably want to give it a taste before you fully commit to it. You might want to add some salt and pepper. It's pretty good. Maybe just a tiny bit of salt. And we will be using the blender again, so I'm just gonna pop the sauce into a container before we pour it on the meals at the end. So lastly, we're gonna make the dinner portion of this meal prep. And I'm sure you could figure out a way to kind of maximize your time a little bit better than this, but this is just the easiest way to show it, so I'm not jumping around being like, okay, make this for breakfast, throw this in at the same time for dinner, and then go back to making lunch, and like, you know, all over the place. I just try and keep it like nice and simple. So we're actually gonna be making some brown rice for dinner. We're gonna be having it with this amazingly delicious crispy oven baked tofu, and then just some mixed veggies on the side. Nice and simple, but this is like one of my favorite meals to have. So let's get the brown rice cooking because this is gonna take a while. So we're gonna be cooking 1 cup of brown rice. So you wanna rinse that first, put that into a pot with 2 cups of water, bring that up to a boil, and then once it's boiling, turn it down to a simmer. Obviously you want this covered, and you're gonna cook that for about 40 minutes. Just as the rice is finishing cooking, I'm gonna add a cup of frozen mixed veggies. So next we're gonna get the tofu ready to take on some flavor and for baking. So we're gonna be using 1.5 blocks of extra firm tofu. So cut those so you have 3 half blocks, and then you wanna cut those lengthwise in half like this. Now score the tofu about halfway through in an X pattern, just like this. So this is gonna let it kind of open up, crisp up a bit, but also give it lots of surface area to take on some good flavor, which is gonna be the marinade, which is what we're making now. For the marinade, you just wanna start with 2 tablespoons of tamari or soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of rice vinegar, 1 teaspoon of maple syrup, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, and then if you want, 1 teaspoon of toasted sesame oil. So mix that up and then dunk each of the pieces of tofu in there, put them onto a baking tray, and then fire that into the oven. So with the marinade that's left over, what I'm gonna do is kind of brush some of this marinade on once the tofu starts to open up, and this is just gonna add a whole bunch more flavor, and this is really just what makes it so good. So I'm actually gonna kick the temperature up a little bit for these, 375. It's gonna take about 30 to 35 minutes, but we are gonna be checking on them because we will be basting them with that leftover marinade. All right, so the last thing that we have to make is a sauce for this meal, and I think what's gonna go really well with it is the classic Simnett Nutrition creamy tahini sauce. This sauce goes with absolutely everything. I make it like pretty much every day, good on stir fries, salads, and it's gonna go amazingly with this. So if there's one sauce that you memorize and just have in your arsenal, make it this one. So I'm gonna make this one right in the jar. We don't have to blend this one. I'm just gonna be shaking it up at the end. So 2 tablespoons of tahini, 1.5 tablespoons of water, 1 teaspoon of grainy mustard, a teaspoon of onion powder, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of maple syrup, the juice from half a lemon, and then a pinch of salt and a pinch of pepper. So it's actually a little bit thick, so I'm just gonna add a touch more water, keep shaking it until it's the right consistency. There we go. So everything's done cooking, it's all cooled, and now it is just time to put it into the containers. So I'm gonna start with breakfast. So we've got that baked oatmeal, and then I'm gonna add some fresh strawberries to have with it. We've got that black bean and veggie saute with sweet potatoes, and that avocado sauce to go on top. Sprinkle on some hemp seeds, and then for dinner, brown rice and mixed veggies, that seasoned baked tofu, and then I'm gonna add some sprouts, a slice of avocado, and that creamy tahini sauce. All right, so there it is, 3 days worth of delicious and healthy plant-based meals. So I hope you guys enjoyed this meal prep. If there's anything that I can do to improve on it, please let me know in the comments down below because I make these videos for you guys and I want them to be the best that they can possibly be. So let's head over to the computer and we'll check out all the macros and calories and all that sort of stuff on Chronometer. All right, so here's breakfast. It's 539 calories, 32.7 grams of protein, 63.5 grams of carbs, 18.4 grams of fat. Here is the macro ratio, and then I'll just quickly scroll down so you guys can see the nutrition of that. Here's lunch, 661.9 calories, 27.6 grams of protein, 114.7 grams of carbs, and 13.5 grams of fat. Here's the macronutrient ratio, and here are all the micronutrients. And here's dinner, 592.6 calories, 33.1 grams of protein, 68.2 grams of carbs, and 24.5 grams of fat. Here's the macronutrient ratio, and here are all the micronutrients. And here are all 3 recipes put together to give you the amounts for the full day. 1,793 calories, 93.5 grams of protein, 246.4 grams of carbs, and 56.4 grams of fat. Here are the macro ratios for the entire day. 19% protein, 54% carbs, and 27% fat. And then as we scroll down here, you can see all the micronutrients for the day, and it looks to be like a pretty nutritious day, if you ask me. And then just really quickly, if you want to screenshot these recipes, these are the full amounts for the whole recipe. So this gives you the 3 days worth of food. So there's breakfast, there's lunch, and here is dinner. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed this meal prep video. Here's some other videos of mine that I think you might like, and if you're looking for some delicious and healthy plant-based recipes, check out my new recipe ebook, Easy Vegan Comfort Meals. It contains over 60 plant-based recipes, lots of delicious sauces that I know you're gonna love. Thanks for watching, and thanks for the support.